What is going on, guys? Meteorologist Jonathan Kegas back with you for another episode, another live stream of Tropics Watch Live. Of course, we're coming at you live on the Just Weather YouTube page, the clickorlando.com WKMG YouTube page, of course, News 6 Plus, and clickorlando.com. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I'd love it if you post in the comments where you're tuning in from. If you have any questions, also post them in the comments, and I will do my best to get to them through the next 20 to 30 minutes that we are streaming live about the tropics. Hope you guys are doing well tonight. It has been very, very quiet. That has been a good thing, kind of. Never want to wish for activity, of course, but that has allowed the ocean heat content to ramp back up post-Beryl. We're going to talk all about that going forward. As the title alludes, the first signs of the switch flipping back to more active times are starting to show up. They're the first kind of ensembles and models showing that first week of August that we've been talking about really for the last couple of weeks. Appears that things are going to get kickstarted again, and we are going to talk about that, and we're going to go over all of that again through the course of this live stream. So again, post in the comments where you're tuning in from. If you like staying up to date with the weather, especially as we venture through hurricane season, hit that subscribe button. I'll show you other ways, again, that you can hang with us coming up in just a couple of minutes as well. First and foremost, if you're watching us from Florida or the southeast U.S., really the second biggest plume of the Saharan dust season has arrived. Now, this is one of the reasons why we have been on the quieter side of late, just one of the reasons why. But it has been prolific out in the tropical Atlantic, and it has helped to suppress hurricane activity over the last couple of weeks post-Beryl. We have another very thick dust plume working its way off the African continent. So we do have a couple of extra tropical waves out there, but the dust is also prolific, so it's going to be difficult, at least in the short term, for those waves to develop. I do want to show you the dust model here. So this is going from where we are right now and then continuing through the next couple of days, and this goes out a week. So this little bowling ball here right out by the Antilles and in the central Atlantic, that's what is emerging off of the coast of Africa right now. So again, a nice big plume of dust coming toward Puerto Rico, towards the Dominican Republic, and Haiti, the Bahamas, Turks and Caicos, Cuba, Jamaica, the Cayman Islands, and then into the Yucatan Peninsula, Central America. This is going to be more directed toward the Western Gulf. Here's the deal with that. It's kind of tipping its hand. The weather pattern is the steering current that it's continuing to go far west. We haven't really seen things go up the East Coast, and I'm going to show you why in just one second. Again, it's kind of what we're watching for going forward in terms of that steering current. Again, we're going to look at some of the modeling coming up in just one second, but there is kind of the dust over the next several days and into next week. Nothing going on in the Atlantic. This is going to kind of take up the remaining part of the episode. We're going to take a hard look at the Madden-Julian oscillation coming up, because this is going to be the predictor and the forcing mechanism to send us, unfortunately, back into what will likely be a very active second half of August and likely the first half of September, coinciding with the peak of hurricane season. National Hurricane Center has two areas of low pressure highlighted there, two tropical waves highlighted in the Eastern Pacific. Typically, we're going to see things flare up in the Eastern Pacific when we're talking about the MJO. We'll see that happen first, and then as it passes through the Atlantic side, that's whenever we would see thunderstorm activity become more prolific in the Atlantic. So right now we're seeing it in the Pacific. We do have increased thunderstorms over Central America. None of that is expected to develop. And then we have the African wave train rolling. We have a couple of juicy waves, one just south of the Cabo Verde Islands, another one right here, and then another big cluster of thunderstorms right back in to the east central or west central part of Africa. So this is what now we're going to watch as we move into the first couple of days of August, as this wave emerges, comes across, and then gets into that area right around the Northeast Caribbean. So just keep that in mind, that we're still about a week to 10 days away from maybe a little something, but it's just beginning to turn. And I'll show you all the science and meteorology behind that, kind of showing your work, if you will, as to why I think that is critically important, that, I just don't say, hey, this is coming. I want to be transparent with you guys and show you that this uptick in activity is from something, and this very quiet streak that we've had post-barrel is because of something as well. I think the science and meteorology behind that is important. Here is the graph. We're going to really break this down in just 1 second, but I wanted to show you kind of where we stand first, and then there's going to be a method to my madness. I had a video out earlier last week on our YouTube channels, and we talked about this on WeatherWise on News 6 Plus earlier last week about everybody hammering home on social media that this hurricane season is a bust. So stick around for my rant on that. I'm going to go deep into that for the second half of the show. What I want to show you now is kind of that first signal. And a lot of people had been commenting, okay, well, the models really aren't showing anything for that first week of August. It's not just about what the models are saying. You have to recognize the pattern that is happening. And we're going to break that part of the pattern down as we move forward here coming up. And we're going to start here with the Madden-Julian oscillation, because I wanted to show you again kind of what's going on in the Pacific and then how that's going to relate to the Atlantic side. So what I'm showing you here is the 200 millibar chart here. This is going to be the GFS, and we're showing you basically where there's brown over an area, you would see sinking air. Sinking air is bad for thunderstorm development. When you see the green here, that's going to be a rising motion anomalies, and that is going to promote thunderstorm activity. So notice over the last week, this is going to be through July 22nd, so where we are today, and that brown is just dominating the Atlantic basin. So again, we wouldn't expect development, and we talked about this late June, that after Beryl, we would likely see a sizable break in the action because of the MJO coming out of phase, promoting more activity on the Pacific basin, and then shutting us down, taking a very, very long pause that would extend likely until the last few days of July or early August. So right on track is that forecast from back in late June. Okay, so this is expected. Notice as we move into, this is going to the second bar here. And by the way, on the right side of your screen where you see my mouse, this is going to be the Americas. This is Africa right here. And then this is going to be towards the Indian Ocean. Australia is going to be right down here. There is the eastern side of Africa on the left side of the page. Each one of these slivers is a different time period on this chart. So I just want to break that down and define kind of what we're looking at here. Notice the extra brown popping up still as we move in toward July 27th, so 5 days from now. Look at what happens, though, August 1st. So I mentioned about the Pacific starting to flare up first. Note that little sliver of green right in that western or in the eastern Pacific, right off the coast of Mexico. So we're starting to get some of those anomalies to show up, and then they get a little stronger, and then start to push towards Central America. And then now, by August 8th, we have more widespread rising motion anomalies, so we're expecting more prolific thunderstorm activity, and those anomalies are also getting greater, as noted by the darker green there. So we're going to have higher than normal anomalies, even than what we would see that first week of August. And then as we get into August 11th, note we have that green expanding from Mexico all the way to Africa. And then that gets even further as we go into August 11th. And then we're really primed as we get towards August 18th. And then that continues through August 21st. This bar down here is August 26th. And then we have August 31st. So while we do have brown starting to show up again in the Western Caribbean, what we have going on here over Africa, that is a very, very strong signal late August and then early September for that African wave train to be cranking these things out, because we would have a lot of rising motion right over Central Africa where those thunderstorm complexes are born of, and then eventually become tropical waves over. So we might start to see that uptick again that first week of August. And then things could get really, really nuts from about the third week of August through that midpoint, through September 10th, which is the peak of hurricane season, before we might see another lull again. You see that brown starting to come back into the basin. That would likely push through for the second half of September. So really from about maybe August 7th, August 8th, give or take, and then onward through the peak, then there might be something popping before them, kind of like the precursor to that. And for that, I want to show you the next thing here. This is going to be the European ensemble, and this is picking up on really the first thing that it has showed in weeks. And what we're looking at here, and I'll kind of just go forward. You see those little things pop up? Those are going to be the different ensemble members picking up on track and intensity of a couple of waves. And just know that there are, let's see, 1, 2, 3. There's a few members on. This is a very, very weak signal at this point. But the thing I want to stress here is that as we start to see these and then they match the pattern that I just showed you, that's where it raises your antennae. So you can't just look at a model. Again, even before looking at this, we would expect, because of what I just showed you there with the MJO, you would expect the model to start showing something. Now, the last couple of days, it hasn't. It just this morning on the 12Z run began to pick up on this. It's showing it again, or on its 0Z run, excuse me, from last night. And then the 12Z run this morning, it's picking up again because the pattern is there for the Atlantic to start to become ripe again as we move through the first few days of August. And this timestamp here is going to be on August 4th. Now, I don't want you guys paying attention to the different spots, but I'll show you why that if something did get going the first week of August, it's going to have a really good shot, unfortunately, to interact with land. Again, it is way, way too early to talk about any specifics. Certainly, we don't even have something there. Certainly, we have to get rid of that dust if it wants to even grow up and do anything, and obviously, hopefully not. But I want to show you this right here, too. This is going to be the 500 millibar height anomaly and the mean sea level pressure. And just note that this darker red here indicates the higher than normal probability here. And you see that red extending. There's our Bermuda high right here, and it extends far into the southeast corner of the United States. This is going to be August 4th. So if we did get something to form out here and then work its way up, it doesn't have an escape route at this point if this pattern does not change. We talked about this at length prior to the season starting, that I never like to use those hypey terms. If you followed this channel and if you followed us here at News 6, you know that from us, that we do not use that stuff. What I said was before the season that this has a very high probability at being a more impactful hurricane season than last year, regardless of the number of storms that formed, because it had looked like we were going to build higher than normal pressure off of New England. That's one of the reasons why, if you have family up in New England, it has been blazing hot this year, breaking records all over the place because of that upper level ridge up there. And until that breaks down, the storms have a higher opportunity to come further west, impacting the Caribbean like we've already seen with Beryl, and then the southeast U.S., and then the western Gulf. So again, it's something to be mindful of over the next couple of weeks. Bermuda high gets a little bit weaker. It goes back towards the Azores over here. That's going to be August 6th, but then already there's another ridge building over the central part of the United States, and if that pushes eastward, here's a nice little trough. So we would love that trough to be there, because if that's there, that would have a tendency, the storm will to feel that and then go up and out. So that's what we like. We like to have troughs hanging off the side of the United States, off the eastern coast, so that those things lift up and out. All right, before I get into the next segment, let me try to bring in some comments here, if the technology is going to work, and we will see what you guys are up to and what you guys have to say. And if you haven't commented, please post in the comments where you're tuning in from. All right, Brian Tafoya says, a long pause so that the ocean can recharge. We're going to talk about this in the second part of the show, that the ocean heat content is again through the roof, as we have seen. So that's obviously something that we don't want. That we've, if there was any good, and there wasn't much upwelling either with that thing when Beryl came through. So we have some issues. All right. So I'm going to get you back now to the other weather computer. And before we get into some of the ocean heat content stuff, I want to just kind of touch on something that I ranted about already in the video, last video. And it kind of, just all the garbage out there on social media. That the season's a bust, and that they say this every year. If you watched our videos last year, I always say, if you want to book a cruise during hurricane season, the second and third week of July is a great time to do so. It doesn't always work out like that. 2005 would be one of those years. But if you're trying to book a Caribbean cruise, the second and third week of July is the best time to do that during hurricane season, because this is, climatologically speaking, other than the very, very end of the season, is your slowest period of the hurricane season. The homegrown storms that roll off of cold fronts coming off the U.S. mainland and the Central American gyre, that shuts down. And then we're not yet building up. The exception was this year because we did have crazy strong Hurricane Beryl, but we still haven't quite built those crazy waves off of Africa just yet. That typically starts at the end of July and early August. So you can clearly see from the "you are here" marker that tropical activity through July is still very, 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 very low. And you see here is highlighted in orange where we have to go and the mountain we have to climb here. So it just goes to show that, again, this means nothing. I always bring up 2004 when I see comments like this, because we didn't get things going until the last couple days of July. And then, as they say, the rest is history, especially for Florida. So be careful what you wish for with wanting these things. I've seen a lot of that, because we have, unfortunately, a very long way to go and a very likely active stretch coming once we get to the middle of August and beyond. That sub-seasonal forcing mechanism known as the Madden-Julian oscillation is going to coincide with the peak of hurricane season when everything is primed on the atmospheric level. So that's, again, something that we do not want to see. I want to point out some of these stats, and if you watched the video before, thank you. If you do want to watch other video content that we bring out on this channel, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button, because we tell it like it is here on this channel. There's none of that garbage out there. There's none of the hype. I break it down with meteorology and science, and I show my work again. I want to make sure that you guys can find this same information and kind of know what you're seeing out there. It's important to me that you're not just hearing it from me, but you can kind of look at that stuff yourself too and be like, okay, this is what we talked about on the show and on this channel. So if you like that stuff, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button for me. I would love to have you guys along for the ride as we talk more weather, especially this hurricane season. So here is more proof that we are actually ahead of schedule. On average, this is on average, the first hurricane of the season does not form until August 11th. Well, we not only had a hurricane, we had a Cat 5 hurricane in late June, early July. Beryl officially became a hurricane on June 29th, way ahead of schedule. The fourth named storm of the season, on average, forms on August 15th. So we still have about 3 weeks to be on schedule with the fourth named storm. Of course, we've already had the A, B, and C storm, Alberto, Beryl, and Chris. From an ACE perspective, now again, this is the intensity. So when we get to a tropical storm status, we start measuring ACE. The stronger the storm, the longer it's out there, the more ACE it drives up. So most of that, of course, is from Hurricane Beryl, but it was so atypically intense, it drove up that number. So here's where we stand on record for accumulated cyclone energy for the hurricane season. 2005, still at this point, was going gangbusters. 57.96. 2008 has jumped over 2024 by just a few units there at 37.12, and then we continue to flatline because we have not had any tropical activity beyond Beryl since Beryl. So that was 36.13 we hold there, and we are still way ahead of the 4 and 5 spot going forward. Just for a reminder, this is what was forecast this hurricane season from the Storm Prediction Center, or from the National Hurricane Center, excuse me. They forecast 17 to 25 named storms, 8 to 13 of those becoming hurricanes, and then 4 to 7 of those becoming major hurricanes, Category 3 and above. On average there, we see 14, 7, and 3, and then so far we've seen 3 named storms, 1 of those already becoming hurricanes, and then 1 of those becoming a major hurricane. So you can do the subtractions there to kind of see where we stand. I'm going to try to change some stuff, so bear with me so I can pull in some extra comments. So stand by for just 1 second, because I like to have the interaction with you guys. So just post all that. Continue to post in the comments. Talk amongst yourselves if you're enjoying this. Hit that subscribe button. You know the drill. But we're going to – I just want to check in on this so I can answer some comments for you guys as we go forward. I was answering some, but I would like to – I'd like to answer some more. So please post that while I am doing all that. This shouldn't take a lot of time. Let's see. It might have worked. Maybe. All right, got to hit this continue button. Got to do this. All right, so maybe it's not going to work. But anyway, keep on posting in the comments. I'm just going to see if I can pull up the actual chat. I might not be able to bring it over, but I still want to have that stuff, but it's making me log in again, even though I was already logged in. While we're waiting, I do want to advance this here and just kind of show you. I wanted to really break this down, and one of the comments that we were talking about is the tropical fuel or the ocean heat content. Beryl, of course, came through about right through here, give or take. And we would really, really have liked for Beryl to cool things down. And it did a little bit, but it just goes to show how deep and how warm that water was already. And that's just the thing. It just goes to show how deep it is. So anything that was even remotely cooled has already warmed back up and then some. So we've already gone over that. We have ridiculous ocean heat content through the Caribbean. I mean, again, we're looking at very, very hot. I mean, it's hot everywhere, and it's even more hot. You see there's the scale in the end. We're in that running to high to almost extreme, especially in the loop current. Now, we want to avoid anything getting in that loop current. Again, that thing really helps to rapidly intensify storms, so we want to avoid that loop current at all costs. But just some nasty stuff. All right, so I have that stuff. Hey, thanks, Cheryl. Good to see you. I have the comments up. I can't bring them over for some reason. Thank you, Cheryl. I appreciate you. Hey, Denise, good to see you in Trinidad. Hope you're doing well. Dust was really bad today, I can imagine. We had it here in Florida. That's where we're based, but certainly not as thick as what you guys did. Some people are asking if they've seen Twisters yet. I have not seen Twisters. I've heard it's really, really good. So post in the comments if you've seen that. Robert says on the Just Weather channel that suffered through the 04 and 05 seasons. Wilma passed through with an angry passion in 05. Yeah, Wilma was crazy. Looking forward to get August through October done with. You and me both. You and me both. All right, and just looking through the comments here. All right, well, as we start to wrap things up, again, thank you guys a ton for tuning in. Thank you for the support that you've given on the channel, and if you're watching on New 6 Plus, thank you guys for tuning in. If you want more tropical coverage with more from a science-y perspective and all that stuff, sign up for our free newsletter. If you're watching outside of the Central Florida area where we are based, this still applies to you, because anytime something's brewing in the tropics, you're going to get this newsletter. And then every Monday, you're going to get this newsletter as well. It's going to be in your inbox, personally written by me, talking about a lot of the stuff that we break down on this Tropics Watch live show, kind of in written format. So if you're interested in that, go to clickorlando.com/newsletters or scan that QR code on your screen that will take you to clickorlando.com/newsletters, and then scroll down. We have a bunch of newsletters on clickorlando.com, so find the Tropics Watch one, put your email in, then you will be signed up for free to get the emails that I send out. I'm going to be working on the newsletter as soon as we sign off here. So do that. That would be awesome. And if you want to hit me up, if you have any more questions, again, post those in the comments. I'm super responsive in the comment section. So again, if you want to stay updated on this, on the rest of this hurricane season, I would love it if you hang out with us and hit that subscribe button, or hit me up on any of the other social channels. If you have any questions, again, I'd be more than happy to answer anything you guys have. I'm here for you as we continue to go through the rest of the season. The entire Pinpoint Weather team is here for you as we get ready to roll into the meat and potatoes of the hurricane season coming up. And again, as we took a look at through the entire video, through the entire live stream, there's a little something that might pop up in that first week of August, and then really mid-August, that switch might flip. Thank you guys a ton for tuning in. Again, if you found this live stream helpful, and if you found the content that we produce here on the channel, hit that subscribe button for me. Again, we go live here every 8 o'clock, every Monday at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern time for Tropics Watch Live, where we have an interactive conversation here about the tropics in general. So mark your calendars for that. Sign up for the Tropics Watch newsletter. Hit me up on social media, and we will catch you next Monday. If something pops before then, although I don't think it will, we will obviously hop on, and we'll continue to keep you posted with our regular video content as always. So again, don't miss it. Hit that subscribe button, and we will catch you next time. Thank you so much, guys. Have a great rest of your Monday.